2 years, I've been trying to get a collab with this guy. That's YouTube speak for a collaboration, where I could get on his channel because he's got a great big channel, and he and I could just talk, because as a landlord myself, I always have questions about Section 8. In this video today, you're going to hear some fun things. One of them is his background. This guy is a consultant, and who gets into doing this kind of work, consulting on Section 8? Wait till you hear his background. And I gave you a little bit different background of my own. Now, the background you're used to hearing from me, and I'll share it with you in case you don't know who I am, is I'm Monique Burns. My husband and I, we buy houses in Detroit. We renovate them and we sell them to investors from all over the country and all over the world. But I gotta tell you, lately, there's just no profit in it anymore. The house prices have gone up. We're working at the end of our inventory, so definitely check my website to see what I have for sale. From that big long hour and 15 minutes, I am breaking down the video I did with Jay into different subjects. And so be sure you are subscribed so you see these as they come along. One of the things we discussed was the program where tenants can use their voucher to get a mortgage. Another thing we talked about was as landlords targeting seniors. We talked about the shift in the market. A lot more landlords want Section 8 tenants because the courts have clogged things up. Since a lot of landlords aren't really trusting the courts since the pandemic. So that has been interesting. He's been seeing it. I've been seeing it. We talked about getting rid of bad tenants and people that are violating their voucher and how that looks, exactly what that process is. I gave a really good story about a fraudulent applicant I had, and we went into that and discussed how that could possibly have happened. A fraudulent Section 8 applicant. Wait to hear that story. Oof. We talked about advertising. I guess that's something that Jay does for landlords, is that he will help them find a Section 8 tenant. He's got such a huge YouTube following that he is able to find tenants when somebody wants specifically Section 8. So that we go into more detail in tenant sourcing tenants. I'll make that into its own video. I talked about raising the rent and recertifications. We actually discussed opening our own PHA, Public Housing Authority, Section 8 office. Like, why we'll never do that actually, but you should hear about that because it's kind of, I wanted to know what he knew about that. And then one of them, I think this might be my favorite because it's about me, but I have a problem with Detroit Housing Commission right now. I'm trying to get them to send missing rent payments. And he and I brainstormed about all the different things that I could possibly do to get that payment. So those are the videos coming. Be sure you watch. This one, it's going to be fun. It's going to be some background. You haven't heard about me, and you're going to get to know Jay, and it's going to make you want to watch for more. So let's go to it.
So my name is Jay. I am a Section 8 consultant. I deal with around 700 to 1,000 clients a year. And today we have Monique Burns. I call her the Queen of Detroit. So we're so glad to have her. And we're going to get a little bit into her history and what she does out in Detroit and some of the surrounding areas. So I'm going to hand it over to Monique for now.
All right. Thank you, Jay. I'm so excited to be doing this. I've been wanting to collab with you for a couple of years. And the way that I started was wanting to collab with you was as a fan. And I would watch your videos and learn. And it was really important for me to watch them because I'm a landlord. I started back in 2007. My husband and I started. We were really lucky that we could do that, get some houses in Detroit when they were really super cheap as a house can be. And we built up a few investment houses of our own. And then in 2015, we started flipping houses for other people. So people would call and say, hey, I want to do what you're doing in Detroit. And so we would buy the house, renovate it, sell it to them. But then they always wanted a property manager. And my very first tenant had Section 8. And I had to learn from my tenant. And I went in grossly misled about what Section 8 was. And she, I was kind of taught that it was like dealing with prisoners. So I had to be really tough. And then my husband and I met her and we're like, that's just not true. She's a real person. And she's still our tenant. She's been there since 2008. And she very kindly, gently taught us how Section 8 works. And I realized that's like the best kept secret. So in 2020, I actually sold my property management company. I had some downtime, like everybody had some downtime, and we're still flipping houses. So I was watching your videos and I'm learning about it. And I thought, oh, okay, landlords need to understand this. So if I talk to landlords about Section 8, how it works as a landlord, they'll see me as an expert in Detroit and say, oh, I would like to buy a house from her. But then it turned out that tenants started reaching out to me and saying, well, how does this work and how does that work? And I'm like, I don't know that. And that's how I finally got to meet you, was that I would tell people, like, yeah, don't ask me that. But there's this guy, Jay, Section8Consulting.com. Talk to him. And when you do, tell him about Monique Burns, because I really want to do a collab with him. So here I am. And my people have called you, haven't they?
No, they have absolutely. And one thing that I struggled with over the years, there's a lot of people who make videos, and so few that I would consider genuine, in my opinion. So I can think of only two at this point. One of which is yourself,
Yay.
And another gentleman on TikTok. It's always good. I know for years I've been doing my collaborations, so I'm kind of glad that Miss Monique here pushed me, gave me that extra push to get out there.
I kind of begged.
Yeah, maybe a little, but you know what? They still think it's a good thing, because what we're doing is parallels each other.
Yeah.
You're dealing in that market, and a big part of what we both do, unfortunately, is kind of have to educate people, because they know what they want, but they don't necessarily always know how to get through all the extras. And no matter what we do, both of our fields of work collide.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of depend on each other.
How did you get into this, Jay? What made you want to do this line of work?
Well, interestingly enough, a long time ago, I was homeless as a teenager and a young adult. And by virtue of being out on the streets for a very long period, I was dealing with the same broken system that everybody else was. And what I found curious is, rather than sitting under the bridge and using drugs and alcohol, I chose to use my time at a law library. I said, now I want something. It's there to help. I meet the criteria that you want to play games. And so I went from feeling sad to pissed off. And I said, well, since I have nothing better to do with my time, then I'm going to figure out ways to destroy or get what I need. It was a do or die situation. I hated how convoluted it all was. And I hated that I was such again, in servitude to these people. They were making all these determinations without no reason, no telling you.
Yeah.
So I spent all my time unraveling the system. And, over a course of now 22 years, prior to that as well, I've read everything. There's nothing that my eyes have not touched. In the beginning, when I had clients, I started to realize I was doing my job pretty well in the beginning, but it got really good after about 5 to 8 years in, because at that point, people understood I was doing it for free for clients. But they were kind of my test dummies. And then I started learning rapidly after that. The bigger factor was, once I was able to see the entire system, get all the manuals, and I figured out most of the process, about 98%. Then I had former and current housing authority employees and directors contacting my company, pouring wealth of information, documentation, policy, procedures, and data manuals. I got about over 100 now. Once they took, that was at 2% you couldn't get unless you worked in the PHA. Once I got a little over 100 of those in there, I was able to fill in all the gaps. And a lot of them gave me, I wouldn't say that it was federally sensitive data, but they gave me those missing gaps. This is why you're struggling so hard, Jay, to get this particular part done with your client. This is what we're doing in an office that's not on the books. And when you learn that, you learn it, as we both know, every housing authority operates differently. They do not all follow the same procedures.
Yeah.
Once you're able to hear a housing authority employee lie to you 15,000 different ways, they eventually run out of ways to lie and bullshit you. You eventually build up a counter to everything they're doing. Then your counters actually become very successful. Then you get to a point where you have PHAs start sending you cease and desist. They prefer you to go away. So at that point, I view a cease and desist letter as an honorary degree. They're letting me know I'm doing it so well They prefer that I don't longer. So at this point, I'm pretty successful, and I don't need to lie, cheat, or break the law. I simply use the broken rules that they have. And can you blame a man for taking and reading from the beginning to the end? Then you look at all the big holes in there, you reverse engineer, and what does common sense tell you? If you already understand the system in its totality, you know where all the holes are. So unless Congress is going to change these rules, we'll continually legally walk our clients, trampling all the way through it. And now, does that mean that I'm exploiting PHAs? Well, it makes a little difference to me. Lawmakers make laws all the time to service their families and friends and constituents.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anything different. My constituency are people that need vouchers that are already dealing with a rigged and broke system, in my opinion, in most cases. The last thing I'm going to say about that is simply this. Not every housing authority operates badly or unethically, in my opinion, okay? There are a lot of them that do a magnificent job. And the one agency I don't have any problems with is Hunt. So, guys, this is my personal recommendation. You're in Detroit, around Detroit. Monique Burns is the queen of Detroit. You need a home, you need a house, you want to buy it, go to her. She'll sew it up. Even if it's in relation to Section 8, we do collaborate quite a bit on the phone. And so this is the person you want to address. You guys know that because I've made enough videos, 700. And I know who's doing the right thing and who's doing the wrong thing with YouTube. And I think that her advice and her ability to get the job done would be paramount to what you're doing. That way you know somebody. She's willing to put her face on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
not hide behind some website and other things and be faceless. Tells you this lady's out there ready to do the job for you. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to close it up for now. And Monique, we'll talk again here and see if we can do another one maybe in another week or so.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.